real estate market, there were about 13,000 transactions. Now, why is this not what it seems? Today's video, yet another edition of the TREB resale report video where I go through all the key numbers, trends, and everything you should know about the latest monthly resale report with regards to the Toronto real estate market, GTA real estate market, condos, detached, semi-detached, and more. Let's get to it. Hello everyone, this is Sam from Saberikamareh Real Estate and Remax Realtor Real Estate. As always, you can find my contact information in the description box with regards to my Gmail, my Instagram, and my office. Please go follow me on Instagram. I've been making more of an effort to keep you guys posted with my business and post some pictures of buyers tours and such. So feel free to go follow me on Instagram. Lastly, subscribe, comment, rate, and review if you happen to enjoy my videos. As I always say, you're obviously not obliged to do so. And hey, if you dislike this video, feel free to dislike as well. You know, you don't have to like, you don't have to subscribe, you don't have to comment. Anyways, with all that out of the way, let's get to the point of today's video, which as always is yet another edition of the TREB monthly report, where as soon as the TREB monthly report comes out, in a video, break down the major trends, the key numbers I think you should know, compare and contrast with the previous month and year over year, and give you my analysis and thoughts and opinions. You can go watch the previous videos in this series to see my analysis before and the things I'll be building upon to pretty much flesh out certain trends and certain themes that are occurring within the Toronto GTA real estate market. As always, we will start with the major numbers, and then towards the end of the video, we'll get into more specific and detailed. I can't go through everything as that would be a long video. In this video, once again, I go through the major stuff and a little bit more minor stuff. However, I flesh out certain aspects of this report in future videos as well. Anyways, let's start with the major general numbers. Total residential transactions up 362%. This increase of 362%, I will explain, is not what it seems. But as you can see, year over year, last year, April 2020, there was 2,000 transactions. And this year in the month of April 2021, with regards to the GTA real estate market, there were about 13,000 transactions. Now, why is this not what it seems? Well, let's just say that last April in 2020, we were going through somewhat of a worldwide event. And I always apologize that I have to speak in code in this regard. I think most of you know what that means, a worldwide event. But since last year, it really started midway through March. I mean, it started way earlier than that, but in Toronto, in Ontario, in Canada, and most of North America, where the populace really felt it the most was mid-March, and obviously that had its consequences with regard to the real estate market. April was the first full month that we were living with this worldwide event, and obviously that put a major pause on transactions. There was a classic V curve occurring where in the commencement of it, all metrics dipped, as you can see, once again, transactions here, but you know, total number of showings, total number of available inventory, prices dipped for a while. And then classically a V curve that implies that there was a sharp increase. And I think for next month's edition, when I cover the month of May and do a comparison of year over year, the numbers will start to reflect year over year the steady increase of once this worldwide event became a norm and things were cleared up a bit more and industries opened up and real estate was deemed an essential service. Whether you agree with that or not, it was. We will see that May things will be a little bit more on balance. So that's why this number seems very staggering, and it truly is staggering, but it's not what it seems because of, once again, the context related to April of last year. Now instead of comparing this year over year, let's compare it to the preceding month, which is March 2021. And one thing we see here is that 13,000 transactions, once again, really shows a hot, vibrant market, but it is a bit of a dip and plateau, maybe not in this regard, but in other regards as well, because this is, obviously more than a plateau. It's an actual dip in numbers, because March 2021, the preceding month, there was a total of 15,000 transactions. And things are slowing down, and we will recover this going forward in this video, but I want to establish this theme right now. Do not get it confused. Things slowing down does not all of a sudden mean a buyer's market. It is still a very seller advantageous market. However, the horizon, the window of opportunity to take advantage of that from the behalf of sellers is not only shortening a tiny bit, but the leverage has dipped a bit as well. And I will touch on that more as this video goes along. So year over year, once again, 300% increase, but that's not what all it seems to be. Context is key, and month over month, a dip of 2,000 transactions. Now let's move forward to average selling price, wherein the average selling price stands at $1,090,000. This is across all property types. This is across all TREB areas, which more or less, I mean, obviously this is not technically accurate. However, difference without a consequence, really. You can assume TREB areas as really standing for GTA. And TREB areas equals Greater Toronto Area. That's pretty much true, virtually speaking. So across all geographic areas and all property types, the average price stands $1,090,000, a 33% increase. And as I said earlier, this is where we see more of a plateau, not a drop, not a dip, but a plateau, because preceding month in March of 2021, with regards to this metric, the average price across all property types was $1,097,000. Now, but however, this plateau, once again, does not necessarily mean it's a buyer's market. Far from it. And what's doing most of the work here, actually, I would have to say, is since the detached market has slowed down just a tiny bit, the condominium market, really, in my opinion, seeing a sharp increase and a return to the pre-worldwide event levels. I'll never get used to saying that because I feel like it's a little cringy. But anyways, when we saw the condo market make its return, positive for sellers and negative for buyers, because they kind of, if they didn't really buy earlier this year, they missed the bottom, the best buying opportunities. Point being, the condominium numbers, I think, in my opinion, are carrying the average here a bit and providing a very good floor. When we see the price still stay the same, yet the number of transactions dips, once again, admittedly by a factor of 2,000. It's not as if the number of transactions dipped month over month, period over period. It's not as if it dipped by 5 to 8, 10,000. It dipped by 2,000. However, nonetheless, when you see the price stay the same, but the number of sales dip, typically according to basic microeconomics, we are seeing somewhat of a return once again towards the moderate part of the spectrum between the buyer's market and seller's market. It's still on the seller side of things in terms of that spectrum of what kind of market it is, but it is edging a little bit closer in this lull towards a moderate market. Anyway, let's move on to the next figure, which quickly is total new listings. Once again, same thing applies that we discussed with regards to the first number we went through in terms of total number of transactions. Total new listings, this seems like an alarming increase, and it is, but once again, context is very key here. The reason it's such a big increase is not because the Toronto and GTA real estate market went to the moon all of a sudden and had this tremendous increase, although that occurs for different reasons. At the end of the day, this is the Toronto real estate market. The GTA real estate market is one of the most expensive areas in the world, and prices do keep increasing exponentially. But it's not as if we can point to this chart and the first chart we've set. This is because, once again, last year, April of last year, there weren't a lot of transactions, as we discussed, for the worldwide event reasons, and naturally implied therein is less listings. People were listing less because the worldwide event was new for everyone, and people didn't know how to approach it. It was such a new occurrence that it put a lull on a lot of things. And once again, this should not be taken out of context. If you see your realtor on Instagram, Facebook show you, oh wow, this is such a big increase, and they don't even mention why the numbers last year were so low, that should raise somewhat of a red flag for you. Anyways, moving on, this is why we should compare this to the preceding month as we did with the first and second metrics. We do apply this period over period, so not year over year, but comparing April 2021 to March 2021, we see this same kind of occurrence that we saw when we did the same type of analysis for the total number of sales, which is a drop in 2000. So this month, April 2021, with regards to the GTA and Toronto real estate market, we saw 20,000 new listings, and in March 2021 we saw 22,000 listings. And I keep referring to March 2021, so if you want to go refresh your memory, go watch that video I did for that month. Once again, this, I think, 7 to 8 episodes of this series, where every time I break down the numbers. But quickly, in March 2021, 2,000 more total sales, and now 2,000 more total new listings. And that makes perfect sense, right? Conceptually, the sales category, or rather the number of sales metric, really, when we look at it, is very much so tied with total number of listings, right? There's a one-way dependency relationship here, and when the total number of new listings ebbs or flows, naturally the total number of sales, that metric, that category, will also ebb and flow in accordance to this one. So once again, this is more signs of a bit of a lull. So if you're asking yourself, why is it the case that April is down a bit, some of that is seasonal. However, beyond and above that, I think it has to do with June 1st, the fact that the mortgage stress tests are going to be increased, and that's going to remove a lot of buyers from the market. I think it has to do with buyer fatigue. A lot of buyers are voluntarily removing themselves from the market. I think that has to do with the recovering rental market. It's a confluence of factors here. And then ending this portion of the video where we're going through more average, more general numbers here, we'll go on property days on market, which we saw a 41% decrease year over year. And once again, the reason last year, April of 2020, was so low, I'm sorry if you are almost nauseous hearing me say this, but it's the same reasoning for everything, because it's the same reason. Last year, 2020, the worldwide event put a pause on everything. Once again, let's compare the April 2021 to March 2021, and we see the days on market has increased by a day. Yes, once again, a plateau, where March 2021, the average days on market was 13. Now in this month, April 2021, the average days on market is 14. An increase of 1. It's nothing special. It's marginal in nature, but as you can see, once again, the incremental nature of the plateau here that has been occurring, or did occur, in April. And a lot of this has to do with more so the freehold market, in my frank opinion. Anyways, now let's get into more specific numbers, shall we? Now let's look at the average cost per property type. Let's start with detached. In terms of detached properties across all areas in the month of April, we saw an average price of $1.367 million, once again, across all areas. Now, when we compare this figure in April of 2020 with regards to the real estate market in Toronto and the GTA to March, so last month's numbers, last month we saw 1.4 million. So a dip in prices here, and this is once again because there were less bidding wars occurring. It's key, less, not none, less bidding wars occurring. And the bidding wars that were occurring, the price of initial bidding, where, a bidding war strategy, you price it under market value. And in March, it really got out of hand. And I'm not gonna, judge, because for my sellers in March, we did the same thing. We priced it in certain cases very much so below market value. So we started the bidding price very, very low, and we sold several properties $200K to $300K above asking. So I'm not judging here. I'm just saying this is what occurred in March, and same things occurred in April, but to a much less extent. So bidding wars still occurred, but less bidding wars. The start of the bidding price was a bit higher, a bit more reasonable, and properties sold a little less above asking. And this is exclusively with regards to detached right now. So with regards to detached, we see a small dip in prices here, month over month. Break this down into geographic areas. So looking at the municipality of Toronto and York region, we see the same thing applies. In both cases, the average cost of a detached home were less than last month. So once again, moving forward, this is showing us what? A bit of a plateau, a bit of a dip. Nothing major. Once again, still a seller's market. However, we are seeing a bit of a plateau thus far. Now, the same thing does not apply to semi-detached, interestingly enough, because once we start looking at the semi-detached, we see an increase in prices, marginally so. Once again, in April of 2021, across all areas, the semi-detached figures was $1,068,000, whereas last month in March of 2021, with regards to the semi-detached market, it was $1,045,000, I believe, off the top of my head. I don't have that number in front of me right now, but I'm pretty confident it was $1,040,000, something like that. And this is something I've been drawing out thus far in my many videos. There has been somewhat of a shift going on. When people get priced out of detached, they kind of shift to semi-detached. When they get priced out of semi-detached, they shift to townhomes. And then from townhomes to condos, and then from condos, the next step is renting. Now, when we get to condo numbers, the average condo numbers, we see actually an increase month over month, where in the average cost of a condo across all areas, once again, last month, March 2021, was $676,000. This month, we're looking at $691,000. So once again, we see the trickle down effect here a bit, where people shifted, a lot of non-condo buyers shifted towards condominiums. Now, if we break down the condo numbers into a little bit more of a specific area, so once again, the municipality of Toronto versus the rest of York region, we see that the biggest increase was in the 416, and the 905 saw an increase as well. So both areas saw an increase. However, the biggest increase was in the city of Toronto. And as I've said in the past, the city of Toronto, especially downtown, is the most volatile market, where if there's a drop, the biggest drops are there. If there's an increase, the biggest increases are there. Further out in York region, even in North York, certain areas of North York, although that's still technically 416, but in further out areas, it is more stable. That yes, the market will ebb and flow, prices will fall and rise, where the falls are not as dramatic, yet the increases are not as dramatic as well, right? So the city of Toronto, with regards to the condo market, is way more volatile than other areas. For more detailed condo numbers, stay tuned for my condo weekly update coming up this Friday, where I've done 3 editions thus far. It's just a weekly condo market update, not necessarily about the prices that week, although I do cover the prices that, and other weeks as well. But just general condo numbers for the month, for the quarter, whatever is important, but whatever I find key for you to know. So stay tuned for more condo numbers for this upcoming Friday video. If you have any questions with regards to the Toronto real estate market or the GTA real estate market, I'll be happy to help. And lastly, stay safe and thank you for watching.